Or off-the-ball linebacker. The Cowboys lost defensive end Sam Williams to a torn ACL. Williams, in his third season, was being counted on to be a key pass rusher this season after the Cowboys lost Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler to Dan Quinn in Washington. So, Keyshawn, your reaction to all of the above?
Well, I think when you self-evaluate in the offseason, Skip, you can certainly look at yourself more than other people and say, you know what, I may need to put more muscle mass on and trim some of the fat off, or I may need to gain weight because I'm being pushed around, or I don't feel as explosive when my hand is in the ground as if when I'm standing up, or the fact that I'm going to be moving around in different spots under Mike Zimmer and his defensive coordinating. Now I need to shed these pounds, and so I could be able to be put in different spots and be able to excel at a high level. The second half of the season, if I need to put that 10 pounds back on me because we get in the cold weather situations, and all of a sudden I'm going up against these teams that have portable running games that can travel anywhere, and I need to bulk up to a certain degree, then you can do those sort of things. To be able to recognize, though, that I may have walnuts in my cheeks at this time, now I need to all of a sudden figure out, okay, let me get to a point where I'm comfortable weight-wise and I can now be explosive from beginning to end, and I don't fade in the later parts of the season. All of those sort of things, the self-evaluation happens in the offseason. And 10 pounds is really, in all honesty, not as drastic as you think. It sounds like a big number, but it really isn't, because he can gain that 10 just like that. Just like he lost it, he can get that 10 back fast. He's not losing 40.
But he's not
losing 30.
Like Zimmer, the new coordinator's got some new ideas for Micah.
And so when you have to now all of a sudden, because he's so athletic, Zim, the defensive coordinator, may say, you know what, we're going to have you cover down on the tight end in this position. Or we're going to have you drop into the flat in this position, and we need you to be able to be quicker to get back and get your feet set to be able to look at the eyes of the quarterback. All of those sort of things happens when you start to try to change your diet and make adjustments so you can be a better football player. On top of, he's getting ready to get a whole lot of money.
So now how does that affect Micah now? So, like, yeah, I get all that, like losing the 10 pounds. Mike Zimmerman want to move him around. But now, does that affect Micah to staying where he's at position-wise because of the injury to Sam Williams now? Because the depth chart's not there. You know what I'm saying?
Sam Williams is a guy, a serviceable guy that had about 4.5 sacks the last couple years. He's solid, but they can find that guy.
They
can find him.
They can find him?
Yeah, they can find him.
I'm just thinking because, like, when they you need a guy, if you're talking about moving Micah around, putting him in the linebacker slot, taking him off the line, and bringing in Williams, Sam, and he ain't there. Since you're saying that you can find that again, then it'll affect. But, yeah, I agree with you. All great
I don't
players.
think the Sam Williams situation is such a devastating
You don't think it's
blow
drastic?
that the Cowboys can't find a replacement in short order for him. I don't see it like
Already a guy in position you can trust. It just seems like the Cowboys –
always something.
It's something. It's always something. It's just another chink in their armor going into this season with contract negotiations. Now they rotational players getting carted off, and Michael Williams is losing 10 pounds because he's probably going to play multiple positions this year. I just don't see this ending well for the Cowboys this year. It's just more things that's been on the negative side this year than on the positive side that we've talked about.
I agree. Did next to nothing in free agency. I did not love the draft. And all of a sudden, you barely open camp and you lose a guy you were heavily counting on. Because Micah Parsons is reverting back to who I think they thought he was in the beginning. So I'm going to revert back to a game that I will never forget. It was 2 seasons ago at Green Bay. It was on November 13th of 2022. It was a classic Aaron Rodgers over Cowboys game in which my team led 28-14 going into the fourth quarter, and Aaron took over and Dak did not. Dak disappeared, and we lost in overtime even after winning the overtime coin toss, and we had the ball first and went nowhere slowly with it, and Aaron Rodgers went right down and kicked a set up a field goal.
I didn't realize Dak played defense.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. 28-14, I'm up. What do I need you to do?
We had the ball 4 times up 28-14 or after 20
Yeah, and in the play calling, you did not convert and extend the plays.
We did nothing. We scored no more
But you
points.
blaming that on Dak.
We got outscored 17-0 in fourth quarter and overtime of that game. But that's not my point. My point is about Micah Parsons. The day after that game, I sat right here in this chair and lost my mind because in that game, they played Micah in pass coverage 14 snaps, and they played him with his hand on the ground or standing up in the middle of the line, but as a pure pass rusher 9 times. So 14 times, and one time late in the first half, he covered a wide receiver down to the goal line. And I'm like, he's a pass rusher. And I must admit now, I might have been completely wrong about that because I think they're seeing him more and more as versatile, that he can do it all.
Well, he was versatile in his first couple of years.
Yeah.
I don't know why they switched it or why they did what they did. I don't know.
Defensive Player of the Year, the highest paid defensive player is the guy who rushes the passer. That's what you can't, it doesn't grow on trees.
No, it's that way because that's the way you make it as an organization.
Okay, but it's just,
I can pay you what I want to pay you. If I think you valuable as a defensive player, I can make you the highest paid defense. I don't need you to go get the quarterback on every single down.
I understand, but guys who cover don't get the most money playing defense. It's just how it is.
We're not asking you to cover down every single play. His hand was in the ground in 2023 over 800 times.
Yeah,
the ground.
Yeah, and slowly but surely he got worn down.
So
to where the last 5
him
games
around,
he was not, yeah.
But if you're moving him around like he was in his first season and a half, 2 seasons in the National Football
Maybe
League.
keep him fresher.
You keep him fresher?
Yeah,
He's
maybe.
not being worn down as much.
Okay. I think you're dismissing a Sam Williams as just a guy.
Yeah.
He's not just a guy.
I'm not
Here's what I
dismissing him.
think. He's got freakish pass rush ability that they had not drawn upon yet because they were pretty deep at that position. Dorrance Armstrong is pretty good.
Yeah, he's in Washington now.
That's why Dan Quinn said, hey, you come on over here.
He's in Washington.
And Dante Fowler has been a specialist pass rusher who can disrupt
in the
games.
league for a while.
He has. And you can count on him here and there to make a play where you say, whoa, where did that come from? Now they're both commanders. And it's right on time for Sam Williams to step up. Listen, Keyshawn, he can move, he can run.
He can bend the edge.
He's the whole thing. He's 6'3", 260, so he's 20 pounds more than Micah. He can pack more of a wallop than Micah can. Maybe he can deal with those gigantic left and right tackles a little better than Micah can. And all of a sudden, he tore it all. He tore his ACL and part of his MCL. And you know, and I know, Keyshawn, he is gone. He is done for the year.
He's done.
Okay. And all of a sudden, they got to reconsider. Wait a second. Do we really want Micah covering wide receivers?
That's what I'm saying.
Or do we need to get him back in the pass rush
No, you
rotation
don't need to.
more?
You don't have to put that 10 back on.
You
after
don't
that.
need to reconsider that
You
because
have to put that 10 back on.
when they made the decision that Sam Williams would be the replacement for Floyd and
Dorrance
Armstrong, they made that decision because they said, hey, we got a guy that we think
And he was a second round pick.
Second-round pick. We got a guy that we think could fill the void.
Yes.
So we don't want to pay that type of money to keep and
That's
retain
what they
these
thought.
guys.
Bingo.
So now what you do is you go and you scour and look at other training camps and other teams to get that same type of body.
Yeah, I understand.
Whether it's through the draft, through trading a player or waiting for somebody to be cut that still has a little bit of motor that can do some things.
All right. Jerry lives for his draft picks because he makes the first and second rounders for sure. So when you got a Sam Williams that Jerry signed off on in the second round, even though probably by draft night, Jerry probably not even heard of Sam Williams until somebody told him about it. But he signed off, and they took him, and he was the second most penalized player on the roster last year. Remember against Green Bay, he interfered with the fair catch where he just runs over the guy, and it was just dumb. You know, like, what are you doing? But he just had ability. It was a good pick in the second round, especially if he could have come to life this year and been what you thought you projected him as. Okay, remember last year in the second round, this past draft, they took Marshawn Nealand out of Western Michigan as a pass rusher, or at least as a defense, sort of a DeMarcus Lawrence. He's bigger, he's 270. Maybe he can stop the run as well as rush the passer. So I told you the day after the draft, I don't know anything about Marshawn Nealand because I never watched Western Michigan, so I've never seen him take a snap before. But I looked at his productivity. They redshirted him, and then he split time as a starter, backup, starter, backup. For 3 years, he wasn't a full-time starter until last year. So he stayed 5 years, and last year he made second-team All-MAC. And I'm thinking, I don't need a second-team All-MAC guy in the second round. Do you see what I mean?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Would you take J.J. Watt?
Yeah.
You take J.J. Watt.
Well, sure you would.
Did you know who J.J. Watt was coming out of Western Michigan and then by way of Wisconsin?
Well, I mean, he went to Wisconsin.
But
so
did you know who he was before he even got to Wisconsin?
No, but he dominated the Big Ten.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay.
Here's a guy that left Western Michigan to go to Wisconsin that has 4 defensive MVPs under his belt.
Okay, I'd have to look up exactly what he did at Wisconsin, but I would think he made some something.
He was a good player. Never thought that he would project to do what he did in the National Football League. My only point is just because he's second team in the MAC.
Is Marshawn Nealon J.J. Watt? If he is,
yeah, but
I'm good.
He may turn into.
Okay.
Got to be careful because you're looking at a guy going in the second round who made second team.
Okay.
That don't mean nothing.
But usually, if you're that dude, then you showed it right away at Western Michigan, where you just were that good.
Well, they took him in the second round, so he had to have some skill set that transferred in their minds to the National Football League.
And, of course, they're raving about him in camp. He's mature for his age.
He probably is really good.
Well, he better be because he just got tapped on the shoulder. Like, you're going to have to play some now, right? All right. I don't love my Cowboys this year.